Stay away, I don't trust strangers. Her voice trembled, sharp as the rain slicing through the Pennsylvania night. Sophia, drenched and shivering under a flickering street lamp, eyed Daniel Carter warily. The 32-year-old plumber, his work clothes soaked, offered her shelter with a steady gaze. "I've got a daughter at home," he said softly, "and I'd want someone to help her if she were lost." Those words cracked Sophia's defenses, and she nodded, whispering, "I'm Sophia, my husband and friend. They drugged me, left me here." Her story was only beginning. Where are you reading this and when? Share below, hit subscribe, and let's unravel this tale together. Will kindness triumph over betrayal? What's your guess? A life rebuilt or heartbreak? The rain battered the empty streets of Westfield, Pennsylvania, a relentless curtain of silver that turned the town into a blurred watercolor. Street lamps flickered, casting weak halos on cracked sidewalks, and the air carried the sharp bite of late autumn. Daniel Carter's boots splashed through puddles, his breath fogging in the chill. His plumber's jumpsuit clung to his broad shoulders, soaked from a long night fixing burst pipes at the local diner. He was bone-tired, but his green eyes stayed sharp, scanning the road home. Sophia's voice still echoed in his ears, raw, defensive, laced with fear. Her words had cut through the storm, a warning born of survival. Now, standing a careful distance away, Daniel watched her tremble under the street lamp, her blonde hair plastered to her pale face like wet silk. Her thin jacket was no match for the deluge, and her hands clutched her arms as if holding herself together. "I mean it," she said, her voice steadier now but still edged with suspicion. "I don't know you. Why should I believe you're not some creep?" Daniel raised his hands, palms open, rain streaming down his calloused fingers. "I'm not asking you to trust me blind," he said, his tone low and even, like he was coaxing a startled animal. "But you're freezing, and this isn't a safe place to be at 2 in the morning. My name's Daniel. I live 2 blocks away. You can dry off, warm up, and leave whenever you want." Her eyes darted to the shadowed alley behind her, then back to him. They were blue, wide and haunted, searching his face for a lie. "And what's in it for you?" she snapped, but her voice cracked, betraying her exhaustion. "Nothing," he said simply. He shifted the strap of his tool bag, the weight grounding him. "Look, I've got a 6-year-old daughter at home. Her name's Mia. She's probably dreaming about dinosaurs right now." A faint smile tugged at his lips, softening his rugged features. "If she were ever out here, scared and alone, I'd pray someone would offer her a safe place. That's all I'm doing." The mention of Mia seemed to pierce Sophia's armor. Her shoulders slumped slightly, and her gaze flickered, as if weighing his words against the howling wind. "A daughter," she murmured almost to herself. Her lips quivered, not just from the cold, and for a moment she looked like she might crumble. "What happened to you?" Daniel asked, gentler now, rain dripping from his brow. He took a small step closer, careful not to crowd her. Sophia's eyes dropped to the pavement, where water swirled around her sodden sneakers. I don't even know where to start," she whispered. "My name's Sophia. I was on a trip with my husband Ethan and my friend Claire. They said it'd help me after my dad died." Her voice caught and she swallowed hard. "They put something in my water. I woke up here, on the side of some road with nothing. No phone, no wallet, no idea where I am." Daniel's jaw tightened, a flare of anger sparking in his chest. Drugged and abandoned. What kind of people? He pushed the thought down, focusing on her. "That's enough for now," he said. "You don't have to tell me everything, but you can't stay out here. Come with me, just till morning. You'll be safe, I swear." Sophia hesitated, her breath hitching. She glanced at the dark horizon, as if expecting her betrayers to emerge from the storm. Then slowly, she nodded. "Okay," she said, barely audible over the rain. "Just don't make me regret this." "You won't," Daniel promised, his voice firm. He gestured toward the street ahead. "This way." They walked in silence, the rain a steady drumbeat between them. Daniel kept a respectful distance, his eyes flicking to her now and then to ensure she was still there. Sophia's steps were unsteady, her sneakers squelching, But she held her head high, pride warring with vulnerability. The town was asleep, its modest houses dark, their porches sagging under the weight of small-town life. Daniel's home loomed ahead, a squat duplex with peeling paint, but a warm glow seeping through the curtains. He unlocked the door quietly, motioning for Sophia to step inside. The living room smelled of wood polish and faint traces of Mia's strawberry shampoo. A tiny pair of pink rain boots sat by the door, next to a stack of children's books. "Take your shoes off there," Daniel said, pointing to a worn mat. "The couch is yours. I'll get you something dry." Sophia stood frozen, her eyes scanning the room. Simple, lived in, safe. She kicked off her sneakers, wincing as the cold floor met her bare feet. Daniel returned with a clean towel, a faded hoodie, and a thick quilt. "Bathroom's down the hall," he said, handing them over. "Water takes a bit to heat up. There's a blanket in the closet if you need another." Sophia clutched the bundle, her fingers brushing his. "Why are you doing this?" she asked, her voice raw. "You don't even know me." Daniel met her gaze, unflinching. "Because I'd want someone to do it for Mia, and because you look like you've been through hell." He paused, then added softly, "Get some rest, Sophia. We'll figure out the rest tomorrow." As he turned toward the hallway, leaving her alone in the quiet room, Sophia stood still, the towel pressed to her chest. The storm raged outside, but in here, for the first time in days, she felt a flicker of hope. Who was this man, and what would tomorrow bring? Sophia stood alone in the dim living room, the towel still pressed against her chest as Daniel's footsteps faded down the hallway. The rain's relentless patter softened against the windows, a distant echo of the chaos she'd escaped. Her fingers trembled as she unfolded the quilt, its worn patches stitched with care, and draped it over her shoulders. The hoodie smelled faintly of laundry detergent and something earthier. Daniel's world, she supposed. She sank onto the couch, the cushions sagging under her weight, and let the warmth seep into her chilled bones. For the first time since waking on that desolate road, her heart slowed, the panic loosening its grip. The bathroom was small, the tiles cool under her bare feet. She turned on the faucet, watching steam rise as the water warmed, just as Daniel had promised. In the mirror, her reflection startled her, pale, hollow-cheeked, blue eyes shadowed with exhaustion. Who was she now, without her phone, her name, her past? The question lingered as she scrubbed the rain and fear from her skin, the oversized hoodie swallowing her frame. Back in the living room, she found a mug of hot water on the coffee table, steam curling upward, next to a folded note in Daniel's neat scrawl. "Landlines on the wall if you need to call someone. Extra blankets in the closet. Keep the bedroom door closed. Mia's a light sleeper." Sophia's fingers traced the note's edges, the words grounding her. He hadn't asked her name, her story, or anything beyond what she'd offered. He hadn't judged. She sipped the water, its warmth spreading through her chest, and curled up on the couch. The quilt cocooned her, and as her eyes fluttered shut, the rain's rhythm lulled her into a dreamless sleep, the first real rest she'd had in days. Morning came with a burst of high-pitched laughter, sharp and bright as sunlight cutting through the curtains. Sophia stirred, disoriented, the quilt tangled around her legs. A small girl with bouncy brown curls sat cross-legged on the rug, stacking colorful plastic blocks into a wobbly tower. Her hazel eyes sparkled with mischief, oblivious to the stranger on the couch. Sophia sat up slowly, her throat dry, and cleared it softly. "Good morning," she said, her voice raspy from sleep. The girl's head whipped around, her grin wide and unguarded. "Hi, you're the lady who slept on our couch," she chirped, scrambling to her feet. "I'm Mia. Did you get rained on? Daddy said you were cold, so we had to be super quiet." Sophia blinked, a smile tugging at her lips despite herself. "I guess I am that lady. Nice to meet you, Mia. I'm Sophia." The girl's energy was infectious, a stark contrast to the gray dread that had clung to her for days. Daniel's voice called from the kitchen, warm but teasing. "Mia, you're waking our guest already? Thought I said to let her sleep." He appeared in the doorway, a spatula in one hand, his dark hair still damp from a shower. His flannel shirt was rolled up to his elbows, revealing forearms etched with the quiet strength of a man who worked with his hands. She's awake, Daddy, Mia protested, giggling as she darted to him, tugging his sleeve. Can she have breakfast with us? Daniel's eyes met Sophia's, a question in their green depths. You up for it? Got eggs and toast. Mia's the boss of the menu. Sophia hesitated, her stomach rumbling traitorously. Sure, she said, standing and smoothing the hoodie. I can help if you want. Deal, Daniel said, a faint smile softening his rugged face. But fair warning, Mia's a tough critic. The kitchen was cramped but cozy, with mismatched mugs on a shelf and a crayon drawing taped to the fridge. Sophia followed Daniel's lead, cracking eggs into a bowl while Mia perched on a stool, narrating her block tower's epic adventure. Sophia's hands shook slightly, the spatula slipping as she stirred, splattering egg onto the counter. Oh no, she muttered, heat rising to her cheeks. Mia giggled, handing her a paper towel. It's okay. Daddy spills stuff all the time. Right, Daddy? Daniel chuckled, scraping the pan. Guilty as charged. You're doing fine, Sophia. His tone was easy, no trace of judgment, and it eased the knot in her chest. They sat at a small table, the eggs slightly overcooked, the toast a little charred. Mia nibbled happily, chattering about dinosaurs, while Daniel ate every bite, his expression unreadable. Not bad, he said, catching Sophia's skeptical look. Edible's a win in this house. You don't have to lie, Sophia said, a wry smile breaking through. I'm no chef. I'm not lying, he countered, his eyes crinkling. You tried. That's what counts. After breakfast, Daniel cleared the plates, waving off Sophia's offer to help. You rest, he said. You've had a rough night. As he moved to the sink, Sophia watched him, struck by his quiet care. He'd given her a haven, no questions asked, and it stirred something unfamiliar in her, a mix of gratitude and longing. Mia tugged her sleeve, pulling her to the living room to see her block tower. It's a castle, Mia declared. You can be the queen. Sophia laughed, the sound surprising her. But as she knelt beside Mia, a shadow flickered in her mind. Ethan and Claire's betrayal loomed, a storm waiting to break. What would she do when the rain stopped, and her past came knocking? Sophia knelt beside Mia, her fingers brushing the smooth edges of a plastic block as the little girl's laughter filled the room. The morning light slanted through the curtains, casting a soft glow on the living room's worn rug, where Mia's castle of blocks teetered triumphantly. Sophia's heart, bruised and guarded, warmed at the sight of Mia's curls bouncing with each enthusiastic gesture. For a moment, the weight of Ethan's betrayal and Claire's treachery felt distant, like a storm on the horizon rather than one raging inside her. You gotta put the red one on top, Mia instructed, thrusting a block into Sophia's hands. It's the Queen's Tower, see? For you. Sophia's smile faltered, the word queen stirring a pang she couldn't name. I'm not much of a queen, she said softly, stacking the block with care. But I'll try for you. Mia beamed, oblivious to the undercurrent in Sophia's voice. You're the best queen. Right, Daddy? Daniel leaned against the doorway, wiping his hands on a dish towel, his green eyes catching the light. If Mia says so, it's law around here, he said, his tone light but laced with something deeper, reassurance perhaps, or curiosity. He crossed the room, settling on the floor beside them, his presence steady as a lighthouse in a squall. You okay, Sophia? You look 1,000,000 miles away. She tucked a damp strand of blonde hair behind her ear, avoiding his gaze. Just thinking, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. The warmth of the house, the ease of Mia's chatter, it was all so foreign, so achingly real compared to the polished cage of her old life. I'm not used to this, to people being kind. Daniel's brow furrowed, but he didn't push. Instead, he handed Mia a blue block, his movements deliberate. Kind's not hard when you're around good people, he said. Mia's got a knack for picking 'em. Sophia glanced at him, searching for judgment, but found only sincerity. It unnerved her, how easily he offered trust when she'd been burned so badly. You don't even know me, she said, her voice catching. Why do you care? Mia looked up, her small face scrunching. 'Cause you're nice and you helped with breakfast, even if the eggs were yucky. She giggled, oblivious to the tension. Daniel chuckled, ruffling Mia's curls. She's got a point. Yucky eggs or not, you're here. That's enough for now. He paused, then added softly, but if you want to talk, I'm listening. Sophia's throat tightened. The truth clawed at her, desperate to spill out, but fear held it back. What if he knew who she was? Would he still look at her with that quiet warmth? She took a shaky breath. My name's Sophia Whitaker, she began, her voice low. I grew up in New York. My dad, he was Charles Whitaker, owned half the skyline, or so they said. She forced a bitter laugh. He died 3 months ago, left me everything. Money, properties, a trust fund bigger than this town. Daniel's eyes widened slightly, but he stayed silent, letting her words fill the space. My husband Ethan and my best friend Claire, they said a trip would help me grieve. A road trip, just the three of us. Her hands clenched, nails digging into her palms. They put something in my water. I don't know what, some kind of sedative. I woke up on a road outside town, alone, with nothing but my clothes and this fog in my head. Mia's blocks clattered as she paused, sensing the shift in Sophia's tone. That means, she said, her voice small. Why would they do that? Sophia's eyes glistened, but she forced a smile for Mia. I don't know, sweetheart. I think they wanted the money, the trust fund. It's locked to me. Ethan's been pushing me to sign it over, but I wouldn't. She looked at Daniel, her voice breaking. I trusted them, and they left me like I was nothing. Daniel's jaw tightened, a flicker of anger crossing his face, but his voice stayed calm. That's not nothing, he said. That's betrayal, and you're still standing. That's something. Sophia blinked back tears, his words a lifeline she hadn't expected. I don't know what to do, she admitted. I can't go back. Not yet. You don't have to, Daniel said, his tone firm. Stay here as long as you need. We'll figure it out. There's a laundromat down the street. Helen, the owner, is always looking for help. It's not much, but it's a start. You can earn some cash, get your bearings. Sophia nodded, the offer grounding her. Thank you, she whispered, the words heavy with gratitude. Mia, sensing the moment, crawled into Sophia's lap, hugging her tightly. You're staying, right? She asked, her voice muffled against Sophia's shoulder. For now, Sophia said, her voice soft but resolute. She hugged Mia back, the child's warmth easing the ache in her chest. As the morning wore on, Daniel showed Sophia the laundromat's number, scribbled on a napkin. I'll call Helen later, he said. She's tough, but fair. You'll like her. He paused, watching Mia stack another block. You're stronger than you think, Sophia. You've already survived the worst part. But as Sophia smiled faintly, a shadow lingered in her mind. Ethan and Claire were out there, and they wouldn't stop. How long before her past crashed into this fragile haven? Sophia's hands stung, raw from the sharp scent of detergent and the endless cycle of folding towels still warm from the dryer. The laundromat buzzed with the hum of machines, a rhythmic pulse that anchored her to this new, unfamiliar world. Helen, the owner, a wiry woman with a no-nonsense squint, had handed her an apron on her first day with a gruff, "Don't shrink anything." Now, 3 days in, Sophia moved with cautious purpose, stacking linens in neat piles, her body aching, but her mind quieter than it had been in weeks. The work was grueling, but it was hers, earned, not given. Mia's hug still lingered in her memory, the child's warmth a tether to something real. Daniel's offer of the laundromat job had been a lifeline, and his words about surviving the worst echoed in her mind. She glanced at the clock, almost noon. Daniel would pick her up soon, likely with Mia in tow, her chatter filling the truck's cab. The thought brought a faint smile, but it faltered as her fingers brushed the pocket of her borrowed jeans, where a secret lay hidden. Sophia, tablecloths next, Helen barked from the counter, snapping her back to the present. Sophia nodded, hauling a basket of crisp white fabric to the folding table. The laundromat was a mix of chaos and order, customers grumbling, kids darting between machines, the air thick with the tang of bleach. She'd never worked like this, her hands soft from a life of privilege now chapped and red. Yet there was a strange pride in it, a freedom Daniel had spoken of that first morning. You're getting the hang of it, Helen said, passing by with a rare nod. Keep up, and I might not fire you. Sophia managed a wry smile. High praise, Helen. She folded another tablecloth, her movements steadier now, but her thoughts drifted to Ethan and Claire. What were they doing? Had they realized she was alive, fighting back? The trust fund, her father's legacy, was a change she'd never wanted, but now it was a weapon they coveted. She shivered despite the laundromat's stuffy heat. The bell above the door jingled, and Daniel stepped in, his flannel shirt tucked neatly, Mia bouncing at his side. Sophia! Mia squealed, rushing to hug her legs. I drew you a dinosaur. It's a T-Rex, but nice. Sophia knelt, her heart swelling. A nice T-Rex? That's my kind of dinosaur. She took the crumpled drawing, Mia's crayon scrawl vibrant and chaotic. Thank you, Mia. Daniel leaned against a dryer, his green eyes studying her. Long day? He asked, his voice low, cutting through the machine's drone. Long but good, Sophia said, standing. Thanks to you. Helen's tough, but I'm learning. She likes you, Daniel said, a half-smile tugging his lips. She doesn't nod for just anyone. He glanced at her hands, noticing the redness. You holding up okay? Sophia flexed her fingers, wincing slightly. Better than I expected. It's different, but I like it. She paused, meeting his gaze. You were right. There's something real about earning your way. Daniel's smile deepened, but before he could reply, Mia tugged Sophia's apron. Can we get ice cream later? Please? Her hazel eyes were impossible to resist. Only if your dad says yes, Sophia teased, glancing at Daniel. He raised his hands in mock surrender. Outnumbered again. It's ice cream, it is. As Sophia laughed, a customer's laundry bag slipped from her hands, spilling clothes across the floor. She crouched to gather them, her apron catching on the table's edge. A soft clink sounded, and her heart stopped. The gold necklace, her father's gift, with its sapphire pendant, slid from her pocket, glinting under the fluorescent lights. She lunged for it, but Daniel was closer, his hand pausing inches from the chain. That's, he said, his voice quiet but heavy. Not something you pick up at a thrift store. His eyes lifted to hers, searching, a flicker of doubt breaking through his usual warmth. Sophia snatched the necklace, shoving it back into her pocket, her cheeks burning. I forgot it was there, she mumbled, avoiding his gaze. Her pulse raced, stupid, careless. She'd hidden it in her bag, wrapped in a sock, but it must have slipped into the jeans during the wash. Sophia, Daniel said, his tone measured, that's not a broken traveler's keepsake. Who are you? The question hung between them, sharper than the laundromat's hum. Mia, oblivious, tugged at Daniel's sleeve, but he gently shushed her. Sophia's throat tightened, the truth teetering on her tongue. I told you, she said, her voice low, defensive. I'm someone who walked away from a world where everything's for sale, except what matters. That's all you need to know. Daniel's jaw clenched, but he didn't press. Fair enough, he said, though his eyes held a shadow of unease. But secrets have a way of catching up. Sophia nodded, her fingers gripping the necklace in her pocket. I know, she whispered. He was right, too right. Ethan and Claire were out there, and they wouldn't stop at drugging her. What if they'd already found her trail? As Daniel ushered Mia toward the door, promising ice cream, Sophia lingered, her gaze fixed on the floor. The necklace burned against her thigh, a reminder of the life she'd fled. But another thought chilled her more. Someone had been watching her from the laundromat's window, a shadow in the afternoon light, gone before she could be sure. Sophia's hands moved mechanically, folding another stack of towels as the laundromat's fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. The sharp tang of detergent clung to her skin, her fingers raw but steadier now, hardened by a week of relentless work. Each neatly folded sheet felt like a small victory, a brick in the foundation of a life she was building from the ashes of betrayal. Yet the shadow she'd glimpsed outside the window yesterday haunted her, a specter that refused to fade. Was it her imagination, or was Ethan's reach already tightening around her? Mia's dinosaur drawing, tucked into her apron pocket, crinkled as she moved, a reminder of the warmth waiting beyond these walls. Daniel's words, secrets have a way of catching up, echoed in her mind, their weight heavier after the necklace incident. He hadn't pushed her since, but the flicker of doubt in his green eyes lingered, a crack in the trust they'd built. She couldn't blame him. How could she explain a life of penthouses and private jets to a man whose world was this small town, this honest labor? Sophia, hustle up! Helen's voice cut through the machine's drone, her sharp gaze softened by a grudging respect. Hotel orders due by 5. Don't make me regret keeping you. Sophia nodded, hauling a basket of linens to the folding table. On it, Helen. Her voice carried a new confidence, born of sweat and stubbornness. The work was grueling, her back ached, her hands burned. But it was hers. Daniel had been right. There was freedom in dirty hands, in a paycheck earned, not inherited. The bell jingled and Mia burst in, her curls bouncing, Daniel trailing behind with a paper bag. Sophia, we got donuts, Mia announced, holding up a sprinkled treat like a trophy. This one's for you. Sophia's heart lifted, her exhaustion easing. A donut queen, huh? She teased, kneeling to accept the pastry. You're spoiling me, Mia. Daniel leaned against a dryer, his flannel shirt rumpled from a long day. She insisted, he said, his smile warm but tinged with concern. You look beat. Helen working you too hard? Hard enough, Sophia said, biting into the donut, the sweetness a brief escape. But I'm managing. Thanks for this. She gestured to the pastry, then met his gaze. And for everything. His eyes softened, but the shadow of their last conversation lingered. You're doing the heavy lifting, he said. I'm just the guy with the truck. Mia tugged Sophia's apron. Can you come to my school play? I'm a tree. Her excitement was infectious, and Sophia laughed, promising to try. But as she glanced at Daniel, she saw his jaw tighten, his gaze flicking to the window. He'd seen it too. The same shadow, fleeting but deliberate. A figure in a dark coat vanishing around the corner. Stay here, Daniel said, his voice low, and strode toward the door. Sophia's pulse quickened, her hand gripping Mia's. Daniel, wait. He was already outside, scanning the street, but the figure was gone. He returned, his expression grim. Probably nothing, he said, but his tone betrayed him. Let's get you home. Home. The word stirred something in Sophia, but fear drowned it out. As they drove back, Mia chattering in the back seat, Sophia's mind raced. Ethan wouldn't stop. He'd always been relentless, his charm a mask for greed. Claire, her supposed friend, had been his accomplice, their betrayal a knife still twisting in her chest. At the house, Daniel sent Mia to wash up, then turned to Sophia. You saw it too, didn't you? He asked, his voice quiet but urgent. That wasn't a random passerby. Sophia nodded, her fingers trembling as she clutched the dinosaur drawing. I don't know who it was, but Ethan's looking for me. He needs my signature for the trust fund. Without it, he gets nothing. Daniel's eyes darkened, his hands balling into fists. He's not getting near you, or Mia. He paused, then added, You need to tell me everything, Sophia. No more secrets. I can't protect you if I'm in the dark. Her throat tightened, guilt warring with fear. I'm trying, she whispered. It's not about trust. It's about shame. I let them fool me. I thought they loved me. Daniel's expression softened, but his voice stayed firm. Love doesn't leave you on a road, drugged and alone. You didn't deserve that, but you're not alone now. We'll figure this out, together. She nodded, tears prickling her eyes. Okay, I'll tell you everything. Just give me time. He studied her, then sighed. Time's fine, but we need a plan. Tomorrow I'll call a friend who knows a lawyer. We'll start with your ID, get you legal help for that trust fund. Sophia's chest eased, his resolve a shield against her fear. Thank you, Daniel, she said, her voice breaking. I don't know what I'd do without you. He offered a small smile. You'd manage. You're tougher than you look. As he turned to check on Mia, Sophia sank onto the couch, the quilt from her first night draped nearby. But as she reached for it, a noise outside, a soft crunch of gravel, made her freeze. She peered through the curtains, her breath catching. A car idled down the street, its headlights off, too far to see the driver. Was it Ethan or someone he'd sent? The gravel's faint crunch lingered in Sophia's ears, a whisper of menace that set her nerves alight. She stood frozen by the window, the quilt slipping from her fingers as the car's dark silhouette idled down the street, its headlights off, a predator in the dusk. Her breath fogged the glass, her heart hammering as she strained to see the driver. Ethan, Claire, or someone they'd hired to drag her back to a life she'd fled. The car's engine purred, then fell silent, and it rolled away into the night, leaving only questions. Sophia? Daniel's voice cut through her panic, low and steady. He stood in the doorway, Mia's bedtime storybook in hand, his green eyes sharp with concern. What's out there? She turned, her hands trembling. A car, no lights. It was just watching. Her voice cracked, the fear she'd buried surging back. They're coming for me, Daniel. I know it. He crossed the room in 3 strides, peering through the curtains. The street was empty now, but his jaw tightened, a muscle ticking under his stubbled cheek. Get away from the window, he said, his tone calm but unyielding. We're not taking chances. Sophia stepped back, her fingers twisting the edge of the hoodie. Mia's laughter from the bedroom felt like a distant echo, a fragile reminder of the haven they'd built. I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't mean to bring this to your door. Daniel's gaze softened, but his voice held steel. You didn't bring anything. They did. And they're not getting through me to you. He paused, then added, or Mia. Go sit. I'll check the locks. As he moved through the house, securing doors and windows, Sophia sank onto the couch, her mind racing. Ethan's greed had always been a shadow in their marriage, his charm a mask for calculation. Claire's betrayal cut deeper, years of friendship reduced to a plot for her father's fortune. The trust fund, locked behind her signature, was their prize, and she was their obstacle. But here, in Daniel's small, lived-in home, she felt something new, resolve, not just fear. Daniel returned, his expression grim but resolute. Everything's secure. Mia's asleep. He sat across from her, elbows on his knees, hands clasped. We need to move fast. Tomorrow we meet my friend's lawyer, Sarah Klein. She's sharp, handles cases like this. We'll get your ID sorted, file a restraining order, whatever it takes. Sophia nodded, her throat tight. I don't even know where to start. Ethan, he's clever. He'll have covered his tracks. Then we uncover them, Daniel said, his voice unwavering. You're not fighting this alone. He leaned forward, his eyes locking onto hers. Tell me the rest, Sophia. Everything. No more holding back. She took a shaky breath, the weight of her secrets pressing down. My father, Charles Whitaker, built an empire. Real estate, investments. When he died, I inherited all, but the trust fund's the key. Millions, locked until I'm 30 or I sign it over. Ethan wanted control. He pushed, cajoled, then this. She gestured vaguely, her hands trembling. Claire has been my best friend since college. I trusted her. They planned it together, drugged me, dumped me. If I don't sign, they get nothing. Daniel's fists clenched, but his voice stayed even. They're cowards, and they underestimated you. He stood, pacing. Sarah will know how to freeze that trust, maybe track their moves. We'll call her first thing. The next morning, they drove to Sarah's office, a small brick building with a faded sign. Mia stayed with Mrs. Thompson, the neighbor, her chatter about her school play fading as they left. Sarah, a brisk woman with sharp eyes, listened as Sophia recounted her story, her notes meticulous. We can file for identity theft and fraud, Sarah said, tapping her pen. Ethan's likely using your name already. We'll need proof of your identity, birth certificate, anything, and a restraining order against both of them. Sophia's stomach churned. I have nothing. They took it all. Sarah nodded. We'll work with what we've got. Daniel's vouching for you helps. She glanced at him, a flicker of respect in her eyes. I'll start digging into Ethan's financials. If he's moving money, we'll find it. As they left, Daniel's hand brushed Sophia's arm, a quiet reassurance. One step at a time, he said. But as they reached his truck, a man stepped from the shadows of a nearby alley, his coat dark, a camera phone glinting in his hand. Sophia Whitaker? He called, snapping a photo before she could react. Your husband's offering big money to know you're alive. Daniel lunged, shoving the man back. Get out of here, he growled, his voice a low thunder. The man stumbled, raising his hands. Just doing my job, pal. But another photo flashed, and Sophia's heart seized. "Daniel, stop!" she cried, pulling him back. The man darted away, vanishing into the crowd. Daniel's chest heaved, a bruise forming on his knuckles. "Damn it," he muttered, turning to her. "You okay?" She nodded, her voice shaking. "He's found me. Ethan knows I'm here." Her eyes met Daniel's, fear mingling with gratitude. "You didn't have to do that." "I did," he said, his voice rough. "No one's hurting you on my watch." But as they climbed into the truck, a new fear gripped Sophia. Ethan wasn't just hunting her, he was closing in, and next time, he might not send a stranger. Sophia's pulse still raced from the photographer's flash, the image of her fear-stricken face now a weapon in Ethan's hands. The truck's engine hummed as Daniel drove, his knuckles white on the wheel, the bruise from his scuffle darkening. Mia's absence, safe with Mrs. Thompson, left a quiet that felt too heavy, broken only by the soft patter of rain returning to Westfield's streets. Sophia clutched the dinosaur drawing in her pocket, its crayon lines a fragile anchor against the storm of her past. Ethan was close, his greed a tightening noose, but Daniel's presence beside her was a shield, unyielding and warm. "We need to end this," she said, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "I won't let him take more from me." Daniel glanced at her, his green eyes fierce but tempered with care. "He won't," he said. "Sarah's on it. We'll hit him where it hurts. His wallet." His tone held a promise, not just of protection, but of partnership. And it stirred something in Sophia she hadn't felt in years. Hope. Back at Sarah's office the next day, the lawyer's desk was strewn with documents, her eyes sharp as she outlined their plan. "Ethan's been sloppy," Sarah said, sliding a folder across. "Bank records show he siphoned funds from your trust using forged signatures. We've got enough for a fraud charge and a restraining order. The police are already tracking him." Sophia's breath caught, her fingers tracing the folder's edge. "He'll fight dirty," she said. "He always does." Sarah's smile was grim. "Let him try. We've got evidence, and you've got witnesses." She nodded at Daniel, who stood by the window, his arms crossed. "You're lucky to have him." Sophia met Daniel's gaze, her heart swelling. "I know," she said softly, the words carrying more weight than she could voice. Days later, the news came. Ethan was arrested in New York, caught trying to transfer another chunk of her trust fund. Claire, his accomplice, turned on him, spilling details to avoid charges. The trust was frozen, Sophia's control restored. But victory felt hollow as she sat in Daniel's living room, Mia coloring at her feet. The wealth was hers again, but it was the warmth of this small house, the smell of Mia's crayons, the creak of Daniel's chair, that felt like home. "I could go back," Sophia said that evening, as Daniel handed her a mug of coffee. Mia was asleep, the house quiet except for the rain's soft rhythm. "New York, the money, the life I left, it's all mine again." Daniel sat across from her, his expression unreadable. "Is that what you want?" he asked, his voice low, careful, like he was bracing for a blow. Sophia stared into her mug, the steam curling like memories of her old world, glittering, cold, empty. "No," she said finally, her voice firm. "That life gave me everything except what matters. You and Mia, you gave me a family, a reason to fight." She looked up, her blue eyes glistening. "I want to stay, Daniel, if you'll have me." His breath hitched, a rare crack in his steady facade. "This place isn't much," he said, his voice rough. "No mansions, no fancy cars, just a beat-up truck and a kid who draws dinosaurs." Sophia smiled, tears spilling over. "It's enough. It's more than enough." She reached for his hand, her fingers trembling against his calloused palm. "You gave me a home that loves me back." Daniel's hand closed over hers, warm and sure. "Then stay," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "We're not rich, but we're here." Mia's voice broke the moment, sleepy but bright, from the hallway. "Sophia, are you staying forever?" She rubbed her eyes, clutching a stuffed triceratops. Sophia knelt, pulling Mia into a hug. "Yeah, kiddo," she said, her voice thick. "Forever sounds perfect." Mia's arms tightened around her, and Daniel's smile, soft and unguarded, sealed the promise. 2 months later, spring crept into Westfield, the rain giving way to budding trees and warm breezes. Sophia, Daniel, and Mia stood behind the counter of Rainy Days, their new cafe, its walls adorned with Mia's vibrant drawings. Sophia flipped pancakes on the griddle, her hands steady now, no longer soft but strong from work. Daniel poured coffee, his laughter mingling with customers' chatter, while Mia handed out napkins, her grin as bright as the morning sun. The cafe wasn't a gold mine, but it was theirs, built on sweat, love, and second chances. Sophia's trust fund sat untouched, a safety net she didn't need. She'd traded penthouses for this. Flour-dusted aprons, Mia's giggles, Daniel's quiet glances that said more than words ever could. As she served a plate of pancakes, Daniel leaned close, his breath warm against her ear. "You're happy," he said, not a question, but a truth. She turned, their faces inches apart, her smile radiant. "I am," she said, "because of you." She glanced at Mia, who was drawing a new dinosaur for a customer. "Because of us." Outside, the world moved on. But in this small cafe, time slowed. Sophia had faced her past, reclaimed her strength, and chosen her future. Ethan's shadow was gone, but the rain would always remind her of the night she found her true home. Not in wealth, but in the heart of a man and a child who saw her, not her fortune. What storms might come next? The rain has long since cleared in Westfield, but its echo lingers in Sophia's heart, a reminder of the night she stumbled into Daniel's world. From a drenched stranger under a street lamp to a woman who found her strength, Sophia's journey with Daniel and Mia transformed her. The Rainy Days Cafe hums with life, its tables filled with laughter, coffee, and Mia's crayon masterpieces. Daniel's steady presence and Mia's boundless joy gave Sophia what wealth never could, a home built on love, not gold. Ethan's betrayal, once a gaping wound, is now a faded scar, proof of her resilience. Together, they've crafted a life where every pancake flipped, every smile shared, is a victory over fear. What did this story stir in you? Did Sophia's courage to choose love over riches resonate? Maybe Daniel's quiet kindness reminded you of someone, or Mia's light sparked a memory of hope. Share your thoughts below. Tell us what moved you, where you're reading from, and when. Your voice adds to this tale's heartbeat, connecting us across miles and moments. Was it the betrayal, the redemption, or the simple beauty of a family found that kept you turning pages? Let us know and hit subscribe to join us for more stories that weave heart and hope. Thank you for walking through this storm with us. Your time, your tears, your smiles, they mean everything. We're grateful for every moment you spent in Westfield's rain-soaked streets. Until our next tale, keep seeking the light in life's storms. We'll meet again soon under new skies with new stories to share.